Pursuing happiness and incorporating its practices into my life turned out to be challenging work. I'd naively assumed I'd spend the training sessions with my friend identifying what made me happy and bringing more of that into my life. I thought it would mean more travel, more time with friends and family, more chocolate. But that was only a small part of it. Quickly, I learned the crux of the happiness training required no extra time or money or calories, but it did require a lot of work, and that work is ongoing. Happiness, my friend explained, and the literature she had me read showed, is not something to chase after. Rather, achieving happiness required a renewed commitment to it each day, and sometimes each hour, and sometimes each moment. My friend taught me that I can always pause in the current moment and renew. I can always find something to be happy about or grateful for, that nothing is too small or large. Right now, in this moment, I am happy to have found this wonderful community. I am not an expert on happiness, and I often forget to renew my commitment to it, especially when I am sick or tired or stressed. But I am thankful for the perspective this happiness training gave me, and to the understanding that renewal is central to lasting happiness. Groucho Marx said it well: I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead. Tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. I have just one day, today, and I'm going to be happy in it. We come together in community, supporting and encouraging each other on our spiritual journeys, affirming the importance of not only tolerance, but of acceptance, compassion, and open-mindedness. Welcome to this good place, Tapestry, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. If you are a Facebook user, be sure to check in and tell your friends what a wonderful congregation we are. And now, would you please take a moment to turn off mobile phones or other devices that may be disruptive to our worship time together. Also, to help maintain a contemplative atmosphere, please hold your applause until after the postlude is finished and the service is completed. And now, I'd like to invite up Eddie, who has an announcement.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm up here once again to let you know, in case you haven't heard, that next Sunday is our Leap of Faith Sunday. We're going to be pledging during the worship service and bringing them up to the front as part of the service. So that's why we're asking everyone to be ready to think about what you're going to pledge and all the things that Tapestry means to you and what this great community does for ourselves and for the world. Please, if there's an information packet, if you haven't already received it, pick it up at the greeters table after service. You can also pick up one of these pins as a token and reminder of that next weekend is the big day. So we're going to have a brunch right after the service. We're going to count up all the pledges and announce right then the result of our pledge campaign. So I look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll have a lot of fun. Oh, and one other thing. So we also have, as part of this, for every pledge that we've received by, after service next week when we're counting them up, we're also going to have a raffle. So by pledging, you're automatically in the raffle. It's going to be a gift certificate for 2 people to do a zipline eco tour, a leap of faith. I don't know if you've ever stepped off a little platform on a zip line, but that takes some faith. It'll be a gift certificate for 2 people. It's in these beautiful canyons near Corona, about an hour's drive from here, and it'll be great fun. So, thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to just remind you that the musical table is this evening. We are a busy congregation with lots of activities. You can find information about all upcoming events and services in your order of service or on the Tapestry website. You can also download the new Tapestry app for your smartphone or tablet. I did that this week. It's a great app. It offers updated information, including information on events and services, worship services. If you need help downloading the app, please see a member of the worship committee. Our various groups and events reflect our vision of being a transformational home for liberal spirituality and a dynamic community leader in Orange County and beyond. And now, Lauren Schmid will light our flaming chalice, the central symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and give back. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the community, and to each other.
We lost an hour of sleep last night, and a couple of my light bulbs are out up here, so it's a little snoozy. But the sun is shining, and the bird song has increased. The warm breezes brush our cheeks outside. The earth holds hope in its seeds and buds. So come, let us gather this morning with joyful noise, with warm hearts, and with hopeful spirits. For we are one with the renewal of the earth and blessedly held in one another's love. Welcome to our time to be together. Welcome to our worship here at Tapestry. Several candles are lit this morning in the silent recognition of joys and sorrows in our midst. I also have a handful of notes to share with you today. This week, one of the newer families in our community asks for healing thoughts and prayers. Amber, who is a friend of Abby Gothard, she and her mother have been coming for about the past 6 months. After church last Sunday, Amber was at a party with Abby, and Amber had a brain bleed. It was a surprise to everyone. In the past week, she's had 2 pretty major surgeries to deal with the situation. She's now able to speak and joke around a little bit, and had her first physical therapy session a couple of days ago. She's doing well in recovery, but their family asks for healing thoughts and prayers, and we'll let you know if there are more material ways that we can support them later on. Keith and Kathy Twaman and Lenny ask for prayers and healing thoughts for Sarah Schmid as she continues to battle with cancer, and for her family, Dan, Alex, and Megan, the strength to continue and to walk along her side. Tom Sturry, where are you, Tom? You're not in your sound booth. There you are. Wow, other side. Tom shares that the husband of a dear friend of Jan's died yesterday. Cap and Joy introduced them to Unitarian Universalism while living in Florida. They ask that we keep Jan and Joy in our thoughts. And Alan Hull shares that Pamela Edwards says, "Thank you all so much for the cards and encouragement. She's recovering well and building strength for next phases of treatment." That's great. And finally, Julia Ramponi shared with us, "Please keep Samad Ibrahim in your thoughts. He's one of the detainees that we visit. He's from Ghana, and his mother recently passed away." Julia and I shared the duty of sharing that news with him, and he's struggling in isolation. For these concerns and the glimmers of hope, we hold our hearts open and reach out in prayer, in meditation, and warm hands. And now I'd like to invite Christine to share with us a message about why she loves Tapestry.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Kruger, and I see we all made it here this morning. I'm feeling a little bit like those light bulbs, a little blurry this morning, so. And to make matters more interesting, I thought about what I was going to say this week, and I was scribbling notes, and then when I went to find them yesterday, I lost them, so I'm going to do my best. So I started coming to Tapestry about 13 years ago, before John, my husband, and I had our two lovely daughters, Julie and Grace, who you probably know or have seen running around here. I was introduced to, then our congregation was called, and I have to read it because it's long, Unitarian Universalist Church of South Orange County. Did I get that right? For those who remember. I was introduced to this wonderful congregation by our dear friends Eileen and Rick Odom. Eileen and I would often have deep conversations about life and love and relationships, and she would always say, "You really should come to my church. You're so you." And I didn't know what that meant. So like many of us, I went online to take a quiz to see where I fit in the cosmic universe. And I came up 100% UU. No surprise. So raise your hand if you came over like 90% in that quiz. And if you aren't, I'm not sure why you're here, but. So after about the second visit, I was already helping NRE, and I felt very welcomed by a number of people, especially people like Carol and Jim Selmaroth, who would always take time to come over to me. How are you doing? How was your week? And I just thought that was great because my family was in Chicago, so it was almost like having a surrogate family, parents, caring for you. And other people like Jake Kaitan, who I would see every week, and we'd talk about history books and, just people who would be looking for you. And then here I am 13 years later, and after a name change to the congregation, Tapestry, much easier to remember, a move to a new beautiful facility, and the pleasure of hearing amazing ministers and speakers who not only teach about the things that are most important to me, but also help me grow as a person and make me want to serve this community. Tapestry has given me a chance to serve on committees such as the RISI committee, the nominating committee, and a few others that I seriously can't remember. And I encourage everyone to join a group or committee. And I know at first you think, oh no, I don't have time for that. Please don't ask me. But as I got over that, I realized it's not only an important way for me to give back to this wonderful congregation, but I got so much more out of it. I've made some of my closest friends from committees that, at first I'm like, all right, I want to go and I want to support the church and do that good work. But, now some of my best friends, like the Glasses, the Twoman and Lenny's, the Lickfits, the Schmitz, the Mollers, the Sayers, and so many more I can't name. I could name, but you don't want me to go on and on. Groups like the women's group that means so much to me as a sacred space to share. I have two sisters, but they're both back in Chicago, so it's so nice to have sisters here. And probably the most important thing I love about Tapestry is the RISI program, because it allows our kids to explore different ideas, different faiths, different ways of being. When I hear about the compassionate and enlightening things that kids say each time I'm with them, I'm always amazed. Things like, why is our minister going to get arrested? And I mean, it's a wonderful, compassionate thing. Because for so long you're like, you don't want to, don't do anything, you don't want to get arrested ever, and then this is what we, get to hear. So, but it's so important when you can, show kids, you can stand up for what's important and what you believe in. And, the kids, they're our future. I grew up in Chicago going to a Lutheran church in the suburbs from infancy to confirmation. And, while I love the traditions, the songs, the holidays, all right, the donut holes, I never connected in the same way as I do here at Tapestry. Years later, when I moved to the OC, because I met my husband and he lived here, and he wasn't a big fan of snow, I attended a Lutheran church here, but even though I loved and connected with a lot of the things, there was a little part of it that something was missing for me. For me, Tapestry really is one size fits all, and women out there, that that's never true, right? with a dress or an outfit, because everyone here is welcome to come as they are and to believe in what feels true for them. That is so amazing. And so that's a reason why I'm so happy to pledge my time and my money to a wonderful place like this. My dad once told me that he gets more accomplished when he goes to church on Sunday. And at first, that didn't really make sense to me. But then I quickly remembered, well, I was raised by German immigrants who believed that relaxation is really overrated. And so I wasn't sure if this was my dad's motivating factor to attend church, but later it struck me that what he really meant was that church fills his soul and gives him peace throughout his work week. And it also struck me as somewhat true for me because Tapestry nourishes my spirituality as well as my intellect. And so for me, that truly is an accomplishment. Thank you.
And now I want to invite our young and young at heart to come up and share a story with me. This is called The Nervous Little Rabbit. Sit over here today because we have pictures that are up there and not in my book. So The Nervous Little Rabbit is a story from India. It's gonna probably sound a little bit familiar to an American story that you have heard that is probably based on this story from India. Once upon a time, there was a nervous little rabbit. She was always afraid that something dreadful was going to happen to her. "Suppose the sky were to fall down, what would happen to me then?" said the nervous little rabbit. She said it so much every day that she thought the sky might really fall down. Once, as she was running along and suddenly she heard a noise, something fell with a large thump, and the little rabbit was so frightened she believed anything. "The earth is falling in," she cried, as she ran away as fast as she could. And soon she met older brother rabbit. "Where are you going, little rabbit?" he asked. Little rabbit cried out, "The earth is falling in, and I'm running away. I can't stop to tell you anything more." "The earth is falling in, is it?" said brother rabbit. He was surprised, but little rabbit kept running right along, and brother rabbit started running after her. Brother rabbit soon met another rabbit and told him that what little rabbit had said. And the second rabbit ran along and soon told a third rabbit, "The earth is falling in." And the third rabbit told a fourth rabbit, and so on and so on. They carried on until hundreds of rabbits were all shouting, "The earth is falling in! The earth is falling in!" Now soon some of the bigger animals heard the shouting, and they took up the cry. The deer began calling, "The earth is falling in!" And then the sheep, and then the wild boar, and then the buffalo, and the camel, and then tiger, and then elephant trumpeted the great cry, "The earth is falling in!" But when the lion heard all this shouting, he insisted on knowing more about what had happened. "I see no signs that the earth has fallen in," he said. "These animals must have heard something." So the lion roared a call to all these animals to stop their shouting. "What is this that you're saying?" he asked. And the elephant replied, "I said the earth is falling in." "Well, how do you know this?" asked the lion. "Why, now that I come to think about it, it was the tiger who told me." And tiger said, "I heard it from the camel." And camel said, "I heard it from the buffalo." And buffalo said, "I heard it from the wild boar." And wild boar had heard it from the sheep. And sheep had heard it from deer. And deer had heard it from one of those hundreds of rabbits. And one of the rabbits said, "Oh, we heard it from little rabbit." So the lion looked down at little rabbit and said, "Little rabbit, what made you say the earth is falling in?" "I saw it," said the little rabbit. "You saw it?" asked the lion in surprise. "Where did you see it?" "Over by that tree," said the little rabbit. "Well, come with me," said the lion. and show me just what happened. No, 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 said Little Rabbit. I won't go near that tree or anything in the world. I'm frightened of it. I'm going to take you over there on my back, said the lion, and he asked the other animals to wait behind. So the lion carried the little rabbit on his back over to the coconut palm tree. Lion said, "Look up, little rabbit. What do you see growing in this tree?" "I see some big, round coconuts in that tree." And just as Rabbit said this, a round coconut fell to the ground with a large thump. Now, what was it that made that noise, Little Rabbit? "Oh, I see now, cried the rabbit. "The earth is not falling in at all. It must have been a big coconut, just like this one that dropped with a thump on the ground." "Jump down off my back, Little Rabbit," said the lion, "so you can look around at it." "Now," said the lion, looking very solemn, "next time you hear a noise that frightens you, don't run away. Stop and look closely and see if you can find out just what has happened. Never guess when you can find out for yourself what is true." And that's the moral of our story. Never guess when you can find out for yourself what is true. So I hope you guys have a good class today, and we will see you in a little bit. Let us join in a short time of silent meditation. Find a comfortable position in your seat. Take a couple of deep breaths and be here with these good people in the wisdom of silence. Namaste. Amen, and blessed be. Our theme in worship for the month of March is renewal. It seems appropriate with the spring equinox happening next Sunday and Easter the Sunday after that. More than a few times recently, I've heard curiosity and a little bit of grumbling, wanting to hear more atheism from the pulpit. So, why not talk about the positive side of atheism? Not just the part that says there's no God, but the part that offers some hope and meaning to our lives. Now, as a minister, hope and renewal are things that you're expected to be able to talk about. Pretty quickly, actually. It's not always easy, though. Earlier this month, I began visiting a detainee from Nigeria. He came to the United States seeking asylum because he's a gay man. In his home country of Nigeria, being gay is a crime. The official government punishment for that crime is 40 years in prison. Even more frightening is the fact that Boko Haram has gained significant power in Nigeria, and under their rules, the appropriate punishment for being gay is stoning. Coming to the United States, seeking asylum, Duru, this guy that I've been visiting, was immediately placed in detention. He doesn't know anyone here, which makes getting out of detention very, very difficult. He's frightened and lonely and unsure when he will be free again. The day before visiting Duru was the day that I heard about Amber, our 14-year-old member of our community, who had a spontaneous episode of a brain bleed. She's undergone a couple of surgeries and doing well. And I know this is a peculiar introduction to a sermon on renewal, but I'm including these details as a reminder that we don't make up beliefs in a vacuum. Any promise of renewal has to take seriously the deep challenges that touch our lives. I'm sure plenty of you gathered here today have your own challenges that occupy your minds. And meeting people in struggle with compassion is a good and necessary first response, but we can't end with despair. We also have a message of hope and renewal to share. A lot of religious traditions anchor their hope and renewal in a very particular understanding of God. We offer something different as Unitarian Universalists. Today, I want to talk about the aspects of Unitarian Universalist hope that don't rely on God. We find hope through celebrating the beauty of humanity and through embracing the opportunity and wonder embedded in this amazing world that we get to live in. Today, I'll describe how Unitarian Universalism doesn't rely on the existence of God. And I want to describe an honest, hopeful picture of our world and our lives. I'm not here to argue against belief in God. Just like when I occasionally talk about God on other Sundays, it's not because I'm trying to convince anyone to believe in God. There's plenty of room for theism and atheism in our faith tradition, without convincing or converting anyone. Our message of hope stands strong either way. So our first and most prominent message of hope is that every soul is sacred and worthy. And if those words soul and sacred push your buttons, then maybe it's easier to hear that we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every single person. It's both profoundly hopeful, and it also sets a very difficult challenge for us. A friend of mine and I used to joke with each other about how challenging this is in day-to-day lives. We use the acronym IWOD for Inherent Worth and Dignity. It was a favorite joke during frustrating moments in the airport, when in the sea of humanity, some people managed to stand out as especially rude and ungrateful. Teasing each other about the climbing frustration, we would say IWOD. Yes, that person yelling at the flight attendant has inherent worth and dignity. That person who just dropped a bag on your head, the bag that clearly does not fit in the overhead bin, has inherent worth and dignity. And the one eating a tuna fish sandwich on the plane on the runway in Phoenix has inherent worth and dignity. This belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person is kind of the foundation of our ethical commitments as Unitarian Universalists. More than following rules, we believe that every person, every body counts. That's what drives our compassion and action for immigrants. Because we know that human lives are more important than national borders. It's what has compelled Unitarian Universalists across the country to join in the mantra that Black Lives Matter. This all sounds very political, but the political is also personal. It's a source of great hope as well. As long as we have the courage to stand beside those who are marginalized, we have reason to hope that someday, when we ourselves are persecuted and in need, someone will be there to stand by us. As we're called to be more loving, more compassionate people, we find hope that others will be more loving and more compassionate toward us. And it's not to return the favor as a quid pro quo. We find hope because we know that we've built a world where the compassionate is expected. Every soul is sacred and worthy. Closer to home, in our own hearts, we fight our own battles for meaning and worth. It can take a lifetime to realize that we're good enough just as we are. That's part of the journey of our faith tradition, simply knowing that we're enough. And so we affirm it over and over and over again. In as many ways as possible, every soul is sacred and worthy. Yours and mine and everyone else's. Our hope also comes from a sense of interconnectedness. Deep down, despite all the illusions of separateness, there's a unity that makes us one. And more various branches of science are demonstrating how connected we are in ways that we didn't really understand before. From pheromones to communicable diseases, from ethical eating to the melting polar ice caps. We're in this together. The achievements are ours to share, and the failures are ours to share as well. A few months ago, Ian Reed was our worship associate. Most of us know him as a tapestry friend and a leader and a great father. It's easy to forget that he's a scholar of political science at a local university. That Sunday, he reminded us that despite the pessimism that abounds in our world, we're living in the most peaceful era human history has ever known. In fact, the world has moved in the direction of less violence over the centuries. It's so hard to remember that or believe it when you read the news. And we haven't lived long enough, any of us, to gain a sense of perspective on that change. The best way to figure it out is to count, and adding up bodies and comparing violence seems really cold-hearted, like it ignores the tragedy of particular scenarios. But counting up, in some ways, is the more moral way of looking at the picture. It treats every life as having equal value. Does that sound familiar? Rather than privileging the people who are closest to us or the people who make the news headlines. Now, examining all the categories of violence, we see that they are all in decline. The kinds of violence that affect most people, homicide, rape, the whole war, all of those are all in decline over the century. And wars against states, like big, real wars, the most destructive of conflicts, those are almost obsolete. Our human family is slowly learning better ways of resolving conflict. That's a tremendous source of hope for me. I'm not making this up. You can feel free to Google it. I know it sounds bizarre and so different from the news, but it's true. When just about every news report paints a picture of merciless, greedy, radicalized, selfish people, we have to remember that the web is bigger. Our human family is bigger than those news stories, and in fact, our family is growing toward love. Interconnection also brings me hope in our struggle to care for the planet. Occasionally, I hear people in this very dramatic way say that we're destroying the earth. And we may make life here very difficult for humans, but we're not capable of destroying the earth. Life on this planet lived a long time before we showed up, and it's frankly a lot more powerful than we are. It's likely that through our mistakes, we will make life difficult for ourselves as humans. But I find tremendous hope in knowing that nature is resilient and powerful. When we get our act together, we have innumerable partners to help heal our earth. Our animal siblings and the healing plants are ready to work with us on this journey to find a more sustainable balance. This promise isn't a magic wand that will get waved from on high. It's not going to be easy or fast, but it's a real profound source of hope resting in the interconnected web that we're a part of. In so many different ways, the web of ecology and friendship is there to catch us when we fall. Our only task is to remember it's there and to reach out when we need it. Now, hope in our Unitarian Universalist tradition also comes in our affirmation that courageous love will transform our world. Most obviously, that love comes in the form of activism. Prophetic women and men have risked their careers and their safety and their reputation to lead us on a more humane path. They've risked so much, and we continue the long struggle toward equality and freedom. But it's not just about activism that changes the world. The compassion that we share with people in everyday encounters also makes a difference. Whether it's in our family or in work or walking down the street, sharing a piece of our heart makes love manifest in our world. Acting in love is a leap of faith. The courage is a willingness to take a first step, willingness to offer love without guarantee of its return. Maybe my biggest fear for our community and for our country as a whole isn't environmental issues, it's not militarism, it's not a fragile democracy. My biggest fear is a pervasive sense of pessimism, a sense that there is no answer for the problems that we face. I fear that we've lost a good deal of faith, not faith in God, but faith in the power of love and compassion to make a difference. Because when we lose our faith in the power of love, we also lose the courage to risk. As Unitarian Universalists, we're called to have faith that our love is worthwhile. We're called to believe that whether we see it or not, our love will be received and it will make a difference. Now, the last bit of hope that I want to talk about in our tradition is our rapidly expanding knowledge of this world that we live in. Atheists believe, and we believe as UUs, that it's irresponsible to dismiss the findings of science in our faith lives. What's true in the house of worship should also be true in the classroom and in the laboratory. Now, both hard sciences and social sciences have supplied humanity with unprecedented understanding of our universe. No longer are we beholden to mythical explanations for natural disasters or events. And we fortunately don't have to derive our ethics from theological speculation. We can research and test and explore. Renewal and hope comes, I believe, in the fact that we're still searching for answers, and we will be searching for a very long time. We human beings are curious creatures, and we need a sense of awe and wonder at the world. I think we need a good number of unsolved mysteries to keep our rather large egos in check. A lot of faith traditions point to that mystery of God as the ultimate inspiration, the ultimate check on our giant egos. But we UUs have plenty of awe and wonder in this jaw-dropping complexity of nature. The more we learn about the universe, the more we find we don't know. Just like growing up. The more we learn about the universe, the more we find we don't know. This is a quick quote from NASA's website. They say more is unknown than is known. We know how much dark energy there is because we know how it affects the universe's expansion. Other than that, it's a complete mystery, but it's important. It turns out that roughly 68% of the universe is dark energy. Huh? If you don't know what that is, that's okay, because scientists don't know what it is either. But it's 68% of the universe. Dark energy. We humans are pretty darn smart, curious little creatures. Fortunately, we have a seemingly endless mystery to explore in nature. Discoveries offer new adventure and potential for healing and a humbling sense of our place in this universe. The mysteries of our world delight our minds and all our senses. What a gift it is to be alive in this garden of discoveries and delights. So I began this week with the intention of writing a sermon about optimistic atheism. I thought I was going to write about some of the liberation that comes with letting go of God. But I quickly realized that our own Unitarian Universalist message of renewal doesn't depend on God. It's not atheist per se. It doesn't say there is no God. It says that with or without God, this life is a gift. The world that we share is full of delight and opportunity. We just have to open our hearts to its potential and work with one another to celebrate that goodness. Now, some find God as a comfort, others find God doesn't fit for them. If we get hung up on God, though, one way or the other, we're really missing a lot of the point. Life is in fact good, and every day we get a chance to make it better. Amen.